Hi, I'm Jordan Mackey, and this is my PowerPoint presentation on understanding students with ADHD. How many students with ADHD are currently being served in the U.S.? Right now, there are approximately 7% of students that have been diagnosed with ADHD. How has that number of students identified increased in the recent years, and what's the reason for the increase? The number of students has increased by approximately 30% in the past 2 decades. Boys are 3 times more likely than girls to experience ADHD. I couldn't actually find a specific reason of why there's an increase, just that there has been an increase. But I did find on a separate website that, and I believe it was the study that they did from 2007-2009, that ADHD was more prevalent in the Midwest and the South regions of the US than it was in the Northeast and the West regions, which I thought was kind of interesting to note. What are the specific behaviors or characteristics of students with ADHD? So when it comes to ADHD, there are 3 subtypes. So there's predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive impulsive, or combined. So I'm going to break those down and see the characteristics and behaviors within each of those categories. So under the predominantly inattentive characteristics, this subtype has a higher ratio of girls to boys, which is only this subtype. The other 2 subtypes, there is a higher ratio of boys that are diagnosed. And then people with these that are diagnosed with the predominantly inattentive, again, it is a higher ratio of girls, and they're more likely to have anxiety and mood disorders. So in order to be diagnosed, they must have difficulty with 6 or more of the following characteristics. So the list of activities or issues here, they have to have a difficulty with these things, again, with 6 or more. So pay attention to details or making careless mistakes. So they're easily forget the small details. They make careless mistakes. Pay attention during academic and social activities. I feel like this is one of the biggest indicators, and that people characterize with ADHD is students not being able to pay attention and keep their focus during school or even during social activities. Listening when someone is speaking directly to them. So again, their minds are elsewhere even when someone is talking directly to that person one-on-one. They might not be paying attention. Following instructions and then following through to finish the task. Again, this is paying attention to details. So if they have difficulty following instructions, they're going to miss out on a lot of the details of their assignment or what they were asked to do. And then if they don't have all the information that they need to complete the task, then they're going to have difficulties finishing the task. Organizing tasks and activities is a big one. Figuring out organization, sustaining mental effort, keep track of supplies. So if they are constantly losing track of necessary supplies, the things that they need, especially in the classroom. Difficulty avoiding distractions. So they're easily distracted. Other things catch their attention rather than what they're supposed to be doing or what they're supposed to be paying attention to. And then remembering daily activities if they have difficulty doing that. The second subtype was the predominantly hyperactive impulsive characteristics. So again, this one is higher ratio of boys than girls that are diagnosed with this subtype. So again, they must have difficulty with six or more of the following characteristics or behaviors. So if they have difficulty keeping their hands and feet still, they're constantly fidgeting with their hands or tapping their feet or moving their leg, just things like that, you notice that they're fidgety. They have difficulty staying seated or staying still while seated. So if they're constantly trying to get up out of their seats, or if they're constantly moving around in their seat, or again, fidgeting in their seat, resisting running or climbing, participating quietly in leisure activities. If they have difficulty participating quietly in leisure activities, if they're kind of loud and all over the place, that's a characteristic of the hyperactive impulsive. Have difficulty resisting being on the go constantly. So again, constantly wanting to get up, wanting to move here and do that. Difficulty with excessive talking and difficulty blurting out answers, interrupting others, or waiting their turn. Those are all kind of grouped together. But again, if they are faced with difficulties of six or more of these traits, then they would be diagnosed with this subtype. So then the third is a combined type. This is the most common subtype of ADHD, so they have characteristics of both other subtypes. The characteristics for the combined type, academic challenges, social challenges, and then increased frequency of internalizing and externalizing behaviors. So again, just the characteristics that they obtain make it difficult for them to achieve academically and for them to even achieve in social situations as well. In what ways do those characteristics make it difficult for students to learn and participate in school? Well, even just basic knowledge of it, if students are having troubles listening to a teacher, even if they're directly talking to them, if they're having difficulty paying attention, if they're constantly wanting to get up out of their seat, if they're blurting out, interrupting, all of this is disruptive behavior for not only the student, but also the other students. So that in and of itself is going to make it difficult for them to learn and to participate because they're not participating the way they should be, or they aren't focused enough to participate in discussions or whatever the case may be. But then a little step further, so most students with ADHD have similar intelligences to everyone else in their class, but the problem lies with their academic achievement. Again, because they might have can only keep their mental focus for so long. Tests are a lot harder to take. Sitting through lectures is a lot harder to take. It changes their dynamics for them. So that leads to lower academic achievement, lower GPAs, lower vocabulary, which then puts them behind in reading. So it's just a domino effect. Do all students with ADHD demonstrate the same characteristics or degree of behavior? Absolutely not. The degree of behavior intensity is different for every student that is diagnosed. There's rarely going to be the same behavior intensities with the same behavior, the characteristics or the behaviorisms that they do have. And again, on those lists, it said they must have a difficulty with six or more. So some students are going to have six. Some will have six, but they won't be the same six. Some will have more than six of those characteristics. So short answer, no, definitely not all students demonstrate the same level or the same characteristics. According to IDEA 2004, under what category are students with ADHD identified? So ADHD is in the subcategory of other health impairments. And under other health impairments, it says that the students have limited strength, vitality, or alertness. And it was described as students have a heightened alertness to environmental stimuli, but then that equals a limited alertness to educational environment. So because their alertness is so heightened with their environment, so everything that's going on around them, that gives them a very limited alertness to the actual academic educational focus because their alertness is much higher for everything going on around them and in the classroom, whatever environment they're in, that actually focusing on the academic part is more limited. Some effective class-wide interventions for all students, but especially for those who display characteristics of ADHD. So two of the biggest things would be that will help every student, but it will especially help those who have characteristics of ADHD are organizational and goal setting skills. For organization, this can be their desk organization, how they organize their folders and notebooks that correspond with each subject, their planner or I believe it's a planner, but where they have to write down their homework assignments for each day, having that organized so they know what homework they have, what night, when it's due. It's right there for them. Even organization in their note taking, having good note taking strategies is going to help immensely. Goal setting is the other big one. And it said in the text that this is goal setting is a critical predictor of success in adulthood for those that are diagnosed with ADHD. So if they can learn that at a younger time and on a smaller scale, that's going to travel with them through elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and once they're in their careers, this is going to help immensely. And then there was kind of like a three-step pattern or three-step layout for goal setting. So it's identify a clear and concrete goal. Figure out what your goal or the student's goal is going to be. From there, develop a list of objectives or tasks in order to achieve that goal, and then be specific in what actions are necessary to take to achieve that goal. So once you have a goal figured out, plan out, what do I need to get there? What steps do I need to take in order to reach that goal? And make them specific. The more specific you are with what the tasks and objectives are, the easier it will be to see this is what I need to do, this is how I need to get there, and how to help stay on track. And then here's my resources. I used the textbook and then found another website. So that was my presentation. Thank you.